All right, so today we're going to talk about something that's, well, it's a bit of a puzzle. Why is it that some of the absolute brightest, most driven engineers out there, they land their dream job, and then the spark just seems to fade? You know, they win this relentless race to the top, but instead of celebration, there's this quiet sense of, is this it? We're going to get into what I'm calling the misalignment of merit. For so many top engineers, especially in a system like India's, life is basically one big high-stakes marathon. I mean, think about it. The race starts way back in high school. Then it's all about the crazy pressure of exams like the JEE. If you make it through that, you're in the demanding world of places like IITs or NITs. And then comes the final hurdle, getting that super coveted job, often in a public sector undertaking, a PSU. And getting that job, that's supposed to be the victory lap, right? It's the finish line after a decade of just relentless focus and competition. This is the moment. Mission accomplished. You did it. You finally made it. But here's the thing. For a lot of people, that feeling of, I made it, it doesn't last. It's surprisingly short-lived. A couple of years into that quote-unquote dream job, something else starts to creep in. A totally different, unexpected reality. It feels like the mission got interrupted somehow. So, instead of that fulfillment you were promised, what actually shows up? Stress, deep frustration. And that leads to this quiet, internal monologue, right? Questioning everything. Did I make the right choice? And eventually, you start to disengage from the very work that was supposed to be the ultimate prize. So this begs a really big question. What is really going on here? I mean, did these elite engineers just get comfortable? Did the job security make them complacent? Did all that ambition just disappear? Well, the easy answer is they just don't really cut it. It's more complicated than that. The real issue you see is so much deeper than just one person feeling a little complacent. This is a systemic problem. It's a fundamental disconnect, and we really need to unpack it. Okay, so here's the core of it all. It's a fundamental misalignment. It's what happens when you take a high-agency person, someone who's trained to be a go-getter, to take initiative, to be independent, and you drop them into a low-agency environment, an environment that's all about rigid structure, rules, and process. And what you get is basically two worlds colliding. On one side, you've got this engineer. They've been forged in the fire of competition. They love speed. They thrive on challenges. And on the other side, you have this system, which is built for the exact opposite. It's designed for stability, for process, for making sure no risks are taken. You can see how that's just a recipe for friction, right? And all that friction, it creates this very specific kind of pressure. Let's call it identity stress. And just think about that for a second. You go from being the top 1% of the country, a total rock star, to suddenly being, just one more designation in this huge, long hierarchy. That kind of shift, it can be incredibly jarring. And of course, this misalignment has some serious consequences. I mean, when you pour all your effort and talent into something, but you can't see how it connects to the final outcome, your motivation just starts to crumble. And when your brilliant ideas get stuck in red tape, moving way slower than your own mind, well, that enthusiasm you started with just gets completely suffocated. But, and this is so important, that intense drive, that passion for solving hard problems, it doesn't just poof, disappear into thin air. It has to go somewhere. So the enthusiasm didn't die. It migrated. It just found a new home. So where does it go? Well, like we said, it migrates. It gets channeled into side projects, into teaching, maybe into dreams of starting a company. Sometimes it fuels a totally different career path, like chasing UPSC or, hey, even starting a YouTube channel. And for some, it just turns inward. And that's where you get that quiet disengagement we talked about. Look, this isn't just a problem for the individual engineer to figure out. The organizations themselves are losing out on an incredible amount of talent and potential here. If these systems want to stay relevant, if they want to be future ready, they absolutely have to evolve. So how can they do that? How can they hold on to this top talent? It really comes down to a few key things. First, give your young engineers real ownership, not just a list of responsibilities. Second, start treating new ideas and innovation like the vital contributions they are, not just extra work. And finally, you have to create pathways for outstanding work to actually stand out, instead of getting lost in the crowd. Okay, but let's be real. Systemic change can be slow. So, what can you do? If you're the engineer stuck in this system, what can you do right now? The good news is, you're not powerless. let's talk about some real strategies for finding your own oxygen, for reigniting that drive. It really starts with building your own personal growth engine. So step one, you define what growth looks like for you. Don't wait for the system or your annual review to tell you. Step two, create what I call micro missions. Find small but impactful projects that you can own and see through to the end. Step three, build parallel expertise. Develop valuable skills either inside your main role or totally outside of it. And maybe the most important step, redefine what success means. Start measuring your career by the impact you have, not just the stability it provides. So if there's one big thing to take away from all of this, it's this. That incredible enthusiasm, the drive that gets engineers from IITs and NITs to the top, it's not fragile. It doesn't just break.
It doesn't die. It just fades away when it's not given oxygen. Think of it like a fire, right? That enthusiasm needs fuel to burn. It needs ownership, it needs to see its impact, it needs challenges, and it's really up to both the system and the individual to provide that oxygen.
Which really leaves us with a final thought, and this is for everyone, whether you're an engineer, a manager, or just someone trying to build a career. Take a second and think about it. What kept your spark alive, or what was it that dimmed it?